you should be coming to Live It Up conference just to see him MC. And the PBs. Don't worry about the content, it's just fun having him as an MC. He's got another calling in life, and that's stand-up comedy. So he's really good. One introduction I missed on saying this morning. Jody, can I have you up the front? Is that okay? Which one is Scott? Yeah, I know, I timed it. Guys, can we give a big round of applause Jody Hinks? Jody Hinks has joined our Queensland team as head of Property Management Agents Agency Assisted Services. Once they organise the air conditioning, probably Holly would want to hear this more than anyone. So Jody is here to assist those people who are looking to start a rec roll and through our agency assisted services. So we're super excited. I know you've reached out to a couple of the team, but if you want to just share a little bit of your background, Jody.
Yeah, so I have been in real estate for 18 years. I have 3 kids. Real estate's easier. So I've predominantly done property management that entire time, but I have done sales PA, trust accounting, office management, and I went out to start working for myself about 5 years ago, just subcontracting, going in to help me clean up their portfolios and put in some new processes in place and things like that. So I've been doing that for the last 5 years since I had my middle child, and through it was fate, I met Manos and Maria, and we have got a really good offering to have in Queensland to help you open a rent roll and manage it yourself, or whether we manage it for you, or whatever you want to do, so we can do that. Yeah.
So, thank you, Jody. We're super excited about property management. As everyone knows, property management is the key component of any agency practice. We're a big believer in not only from the revenue and obviously the wealth creation from property management, but it's the relationship retention that is the most important aspect of property management. And trust me guys, if you think you're going to start property management, for those who haven't started property management and make a fortune out of it, yeah, you'll be waiting a long time. So there's various reasons, and we're super excited again to have Jody, and we've got a substantial team in Melbourne as well, headed up by Vanessa and Trudy and Mel and a whole bunch of others as well. So we're super excited about that aspect of agency practice. So again, reach out to Jody and we'll make some other introductions and also talk about the training that we're having. The next session we're putting on is a BDM training session for building rent rolls. So that's going to be super exciting. That should be at the end of October, early November. We're putting all our expertise together. And even for sales agents, I think those people who haven't even started rent rolls might be a good idea to be attending that, because it will give you some good ideas about prospecting and winning business. Okay. All right, today's session. Today's session is about, as I mentioned during the sales meeting, is that a bit too high? Yeah, so is that pointing right down? Yeah. So who's got the remote control on that?
You're in trouble again.
So if I could just do this.
We need the air conditioner with this bloke up.
Sorry guys.
Welcome to what I deal with every day.
We're good? We're good now, or is that bad?
No.
That is good.
I haven't touched it. Haven't touched it.
Story
Okay,
of my
back to...
Give a blanket.
Okay, so today's session is about making sure that we capitalise the next 30, 60, 90 days, and I'll actually put inverted commas the next 2 weeks. I think the next 14 days will make a significant difference to everyone's business if you do the right activities. the next 14 days is critical. And why do I say that? Is that we've just had interest rates on hold again. People thinking about moving and settling before Christmas and making a decision. As we're talking now, they're talking in their lounge rooms. Okay? There's more confidence in the marketplace now than there has been in the last 12 months. So realestate.com, we were privileged to be at a seminar on Monday, and they brought out all their stats. The beauty about realestate.com is, just like ourselves, they're in the cold face. They're not waiting for transactions to happen before the statistics come up. They're ahead of the game like we are. When we go into a lounge room and we hear people are struggling, we're ahead of the banks. We are ahead of the accountants. We are ahead of the metrics that come out for all these decision makers to make the decisions. We're probably 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead. And it's really important to understand that as real estate agents, we are in the cold face. So what realestate.com said is that in August 2023, they had more listings come on since August 2011. So they had their biggest August since 2011. So we're talking 12 years. So more listings came on, new listings. And they've had more listings on the go, as in for sale, in August 2023 than in August 2013. So we've got more stock right now than what there was back since 2013. So for the last 10 years, there's more stock now than what it was back then. Okay? So when we start thinking like that, and borrowing capacity for buyers is down 30% since the first interest rate rises in May 2022. So that's another important stat. So that's dialogue and conversations we can be having with our vendors and our clients, that whilst we want to maximise your price, the borrowing capacity of buyers is 30% less than what it was just over 15, 16, 17 months ago. Okay, that's an important statistic to be aware of. Okay, so when we put all that together, what's happened is confidence is coming back into the marketplace. When confidence, and there's another word, it's called certainty. Now, we had a comment from Cage who said that he predicts, or possibly will be a good thing, that interest rates may decrease by the end of the year, might have a decrease by the end of the year. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. Okay? Who was the me too? Yes. It is so important. Now, why? Because we need certainty. If we have another, now, it's out of our control if it does happen, okay? But this real estate is a psychology game. It is a psychology game, and those people who can read the play will dominate in this marketplace. So if you think about if interest rates stay plateaued for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and the more months we have a plateau or it just the one, there's no increase or decrease, certainty comes to the marketplace. People make better decisions. If we have a decrease, then suddenly vendors are going to think what? We can get more. We can get more. When buyers, what will the buyers think if interest rates decrease? Cheaper. Their borrowing capacity. Will their borrowing capacity increase? Do you think? Because the banks aren't going to let it. Okay. Because they've stabilised the market. Okay. So just be aware. So that's why I'm saying the next 2 weeks is critical. That's not to say if we miss the boat over the next 2 weeks that we can't do anything for the balance. So if we look at, I'm going to do this trick with Arthur. I've got, yes, it worked. Okay. So the messaging that we need to be putting out there in the marketplace. Now, whilst we're talking about this 3-month period, I want you to start thinking this should be your whole real estate career. Simplicity, consistency of message, and repetition. And if you haven't had it in your write down your notes. Is your business simple in all your processes? Your prospecting, for example, winning the business. Is your business simple when it comes to vendor management, launching a property? Have you simplified the process? Is it consistent in your messaging, in prospecting, in the way you deliver a service? There's one vendor with the same service as a second vendor, and as a third vendor. Is there consistency there? And of course, is it repeatable? Whatever you put in place, make sure it's repeatable. Or are you an agent or agency that's always trying to reinvent and find a new shiny toy and not allowing things to breathe? We need our marketing and our messages to breathe. And we need to give them time and we need to give it space. That's how we start penetrating the marketplace and becoming a brand in the marketplace. If you are not following these three things in your business, and we'll share how we can do these things in a moment, because they are simple, they're really simple things, but sometimes it's what Arthur said or what Jason said. I used to do that. I used to do that. When Jason said I used to do that, and many agents have said I used to do that, was there a penny drop moment that something's worked for someone, said I used to do that? I think, Jared, I know you're going to go for a phone call, don't be silly, but I used to do what? Is anyone doing something what had done in the past that worked? Just like Jason had said, I used to do that, the door knocking up the street.
Absolutely.
Can you share?
Yeah, I used to consistently door knock before my auctions.
Before your auction?
Before the auction.
Love it. And so, Adam, Brad, you've talked about door knocking before an auction. I'll just repeat, just to make sure that the team can hear us on Zoom.
There was an open invite. There was an open invite to everyone in the street. I used to door knock at least 20 on each side of the house and then 50 on the side of the road. Invite them along to the auction with a simple message that more attendance mean more bidding and higher prices for the local owners. So, and out of that, generally, we used to get 1 or 2 appraisals from those when they see the result.
Yeah. And may I ask what? So Brad is talking about doing the OFI invites before every auction consistently. Why did you stop it?
Got busy and used that as an excuse
Yep.
rather than going back.
Yeah. And that's the fact, isn't it? Because we do get busy. And once we get busy, we kind of forget what actually got us busy in the first place. And it's getting that simplicity, consistent message, and that repetition, and putting it as an automated response. When is the best time to door knock?
Anytime.
Anytime?
Anytime.
Anytime? Okay, anytime is better than no time, absolutely. But if you're going to door knock a particular after 4 o'clock, yeah, before an open, I think Brad's hit the nail on the knock-up before an open. JC, what did you do to catapult your career to a multi-million-dollar agent? Before and after open for inspections. Now, Brad, obviously auction orientated, is that correct?
Yeah, depending on
Okay.
property.
When's the best time to door knock if you're an auctioneer and you auction property? Straight after an auction. Straight after an auction. Now, Brad made an important part. The best time to, one of the best times to door knock is any time. Do you know what I mean? But there is a best time in certain things. And that's why I want you to start thinking simplicity, consistency, and repetition. To door knock 2 hours, to take out 2 hours of your week, right? To door knock on a Thursday or a Wednesday and so forth, it takes a bit of commitment, self-discipline and effort, and 99% of agents won't do it, and that's why 99% of agents don't do it, because it's the easiest appointment to avoid is the prospecting activity. However, if you set a plan in place to do door knocking straight after an OFI and or more importantly an auction, whether it's sold or not, that's gold, because the impact, you'll do it in half an hour and you get better results than what you would in 2 hours. So it's doing the same activity but working a little bit smarter and a little less hard. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's important to understand these things.
It's actually easy to do because you've got something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We were doing it before appraisals, so we came out that just appraised.
They're just a phrase, yeah?
Just appraising the street, we didn't have time to do it
Just appraised.
before
366, yeah. Magic 25. Yeah. But it is getting that consistency in place. If you're building a team and you know we're really big on EBUs, a team member of the team needs to do it. Okay? Who's better off doing cold calls, a team member or you yourself? I believe it's easier to get a team member to do the calls on your behalf than you making the cold call. We're talking about cold calling. We're not talking about warm calls and following up vendors and hot prospects and so forth. That should always be left to a lead agent. I'm morphing into a little bit of an EBU discussion, but I want you to think like this. It's much easier if an assistant calls on your behalf and says, I'm calling on behalf of Brad, he's just listed a property just around the corner, or he's just sold a property just around the corner. He's asked me to call local neighbours to see if they'd like a market appraisal now that there's been a change in the value of their property. Does that make sense? And it's an easier phone call to make. I'm calling on behalf of Brad. He's just sold the property for a record price, or he's just listed a fantastic property. Whatever the message is, and it is a simpler phone call to make than you making that phone call. Okay? It's just the psychology of the way phone calls happen. Okay. Moving forward. Any questions on that? So I want you to, throughout this presentation today, simplicity, consistency of message and repetition. As soon as it's difficult, please scrap it. If you know you're not going to do it, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just simplify what you are going to do and the results will follow. Okay, moving forward. Now, we are in September, middle of September. We have 3 weekends left in September, yeah? I've got one highlighted in gold by?
1 weekend.
Grand Final weekend. Yeah. King's birthday weekend for you.
Well,
Yeah, there you go. For us, it's Grand Final. So, again, we're talking about doing open for inspections. It's our big day. Is Saturday show day for everyone? Okay? Like, I'm telling you, Saturday is show day. Saturday show day. Why is Saturday show day?
Because everyone's out, you're looking to choose their agent.
Yeah, looking to choose their agent. They're in real estate mode. Okay? A reticular activating system. If anyone is thinking about real estate, they will take notice of the flags, they'll take notice of the pointer boards, which are not out during the week, they'll take notice of people in suits and ties, maybe not you guys in ties, but certainly has been in Melbourne for some time. They can pick a real estate agent a mile away. So those vendors over the next 14 days, who are thinking about coming onto the market, are going to, their sensory perception of real estate agents is going to be really high. Okay? So if you're working service area, I'd make sure that for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, possibly 4 weeks, they're getting a drop. If you're not doing weekly drops in your service area, that is something you should be doing over the next 2 to 3, 4 weeks. Yeah, and school holidays. Okay. So moving forward, then we've got 4 weekends in October, 4 weekends in November, and then we have 3 weekends left in December. And I've got a question mark on the 23rd, because then we have obviously Christmas Day on the 25th. So we have 14 really weekends left for open for inspections, but that equates to 27% of the year. So that's a big chunk of the year, right? It is a quarter of the year, closer to a third, almost a third of the year. It's close to a quarter, but let's just say a third of the year. Now, here's the other thing. What is October and November? And March and February? Yeah, on FM. On FM. Remember on FM. On FM. October, November, February, March. We will do 40 to 50% of our sales in those 4 months. So doesn't it make sense that a month before those months, or 2 months before, we go hard? Okay? Those people that have been with us for a while, those people that do business planning with me, especially when they schedule in their holidays, when do I tell them never to take holidays? In September, it's always 3 months, September, October, November, and always January. I say to people, take holidays in January, beginning of January, but make sure your prospecting has been scheduled in the middle of December. That's what I love about the PBs. Attending the PBs, and you actually make the efforts, and actually going away after a PB session and actually putting the stuff together, the logistics, is what's important, okay? To say, I've got my letters ready to go. I've got my activities ready to go. So you go on a holiday and not worry about scrambling when you come back on the 10th or the 11th and start scheduling obviously your listings and so forth. You have everything scheduled, your conversations with your pipeline. We are launching you on the 10th. This is the calendar of events. This is when we're going to get the styling done well before Christmas, the photography done, your copy done, everything done, ready to launch. Push the button on the 7th of January whenever the vendor is ready and obviously yourself is ready. So it's all about preparation. So December to me is preparation month, so that you can have 2 to 3 weeks off at the end of the year, beginning of the first week of the year. Okay? So it just takes a little bit of planning. And it's not difficult, but understanding the psychology of sellers and buyers can help you prepare to put that little bit of effort, extra effort, and discipline in the prior months. Just anything you want to add on? Is there anything special that you do during this period? Because obviously it is a busy time. We're carrying more stock. We're meeting more buyers.
No, I just hustle like hell. This is when you have to be on phone and on top of everything.
Yeah, hustle like hell. I'm just not sure if everyone can hear us, but JC is saying hustle like hell.
And just, well, you've also got to have your mental health and physical health checked this time of year as well.
Mental health and physical health. Probably a good time as well, just before Christmas. You could put on all the kilos. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's just getting focused on what's all, just doing work.
Just focus. Again, being on FM. That's why I love the acronym on FM. October, November, February, March. Okay, so I've mentioned that. So on FM, contacts, soap, and these 3 images are really important. Why are they important? Because I've said the next 2 to 3 weeks is a critical period to be connecting with as many of your contacts as possible. Okay? So what's this? Number 1. Phone. Email and direct mail. Okay? And SMS. Okay? So we've got some amazing tools. It's not, well, we've got some amazing tools. Back 20 years ago, we didn't have these tools. Okay? We didn't have the phone. But we've got email, we've got SMS now, we've got all these things that help us in our business. How easy is it to connect with people? It's the easiest. Now, this is the other thing that I speaking to a number of agents, team members, and they've said to me, oh, but everyone else is doing it. No, they're not. They're not. I can guarantee you, your greatest competitive advantage is that your competition is lazy, so long as your competition can't say the same thing about you. That's it. Now, how do we know these things? Because when you go to realestate.com and they tell me that 25% of buyer inquiry on listings, the average property gets 12 buyer inquiries across the country, we know 64 more, but actual emails, 25% go unanswered. Yeah, 10% of appraisal requests go unanswered. And that's shocking. Okay? So, please, sir. Yeah.
Bolt has really changed that for us in that we have the automatic response going out. And so people think they're responding at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning or whatever. They say to Bill all the time, oh, thanks for the quick response. So it is the best tool in Bolt to use. And if you don't know how to use it, find out how to set up your
automatic responses. And what else does it do for you, Sue?
Well, it makes it sound like we're on the ball and we're actually communicating, we're interested.
Yeah.
And then we follow up with a phone call as well, of course.
Perfect. It takes the guilt away from you.
Yeah.
Is that just a canned email response on
Yeah,
your
it's
voice?
an email response.
Yeah,
It's the
just-
best tool.
There are so many things available to everyone, but you've got to put the system in place. And it takes,
Process.
how long did it take you to set that up?
Oh, it took me all up right back at the start, 15 minutes.
15 minutes to save you countless hours, but more importantly, opportunities not being missed.
We also changed the message too on the one listing from week to week as well, so it's not the same thing going back, so.
Just a series of templates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. That's awesome. Has George got those templates?
They could have come from George.
They had a
Certainly
problem.
I built them after having, getting on those sections.
On those sections with
Right.
George, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
gold.
critical.
That's gold.
And there is a lot. That's what I'm hoping for as well from the 13 weeks of success, because there's one thing coming to these sessions, there's only so much that you can actually do in 2 hours, right? And it's a broad overview, but what we want to be doing on the 13 weeks of success is actually getting to the logistics and making sure that you've got those templates already set up. If not, making sure that before the next section you actually have it done. So there's an accountability process in place for that. I'll share another statistic with you. So this is from realestate.com. Open Agent. Does anyone know who Open Agent is?
Yeah.
Yep. What are they?
They're similar to the REA domain. They're like they're capturing leads for us.
Yeah, yes. Open Agent is a lead generation. They find sellers and then they charge us for us, referrals, and Local Agent Finder.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we're using Open Lot as well.
yeah. Is anyone using Local Agent Finder? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on it.
I would definitely be using
The
Local
one that
Agent.
we use the most, that we get the best result out of is which real estate agent.
Which real estate agent?
We get the
Okay.
most leads out of them. Once you start to win a few, then they refer you all the time,
Yeah.
so.
Carol Saville, probably the biggest advocate for Local Agent Finder. She wrote, what, just under $1 million? She's just under $1 million. Well, actually, no, she cracked $1 million and she attributed 27% of her sales through Local Agent Finder. Now, having said that, her other 73% probably came from past sales that she had done that obviously piggybacked off those successes. So, and there is a debate. Should we be promoting these lead generators? Should we be rewarding them and so forth? And I say, well, if an agent wasn't good enough to win the business in the first place, win the confidence for them to go direct, and that vendor hasn't had the opportunity to build a relationship with an agent, well, it's our fault as an industry in the first place. Why are they going there in the first place? Because we haven't made a compelling argument for them to come and see us. Good or bad, it's not a debate for me. I don't go into debate with it. You can or you don't want to. I know if I was listing and selling, I would put my hand up. And the only time I would not use lead generation where I have to pay a referral is when I'm so busy I can't keep up with my current clients who are paying full rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on FM, most important time to be and the reason I brought them up, one criteria for the winning agent. What's the one criteria of actually winning the business? Who wins the business in most cases? Because obviously they track. Because what they do, they give the leads to 2 or 3 agents.
One
right?
that responds the most quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how many, do you know what the minutes are? 3 minutes.
I got one the other night. I sent a message back straight away.
And did you win it?
Well, we're going to praise it tomorrow.
Praise it tomorrow. Speed of execution is absolutely critical, and we're going to be talking about why we win business and why we lose business. And when we understand why we win and we lose, we can actually change some processes in place to make sure that we're always on the winning side as opposed to the losing side. Okay? But speed of execution, like, it is gold. Alright? So, again, understand the psychology of that person going to Open Agent Finder. They may be time poor, you just don't know why they chose a lead generation, or they just stumbled on it, right? Okay.
We did find deceased estates and that type of thing.
Yes.
We go through that process a lot.
Yep.
From my
100%.
experience, so,
100%. Yep. Deceased estates where there's multiple people owning a property and they need to get a
And
comparison.
what do we tell them straight away? We've got lots of experience dealing with deceased estates.
Yes. Perfect. We have. So when I love that. I absolutely love it because you're on your game. Do you know what I mean? It is those 1%ers. It's already telling. It's like when I say to the team, make sure you tell them you've got a list of buyers. Make sure you tell them you've got your buyers. If you have a buyer's agent, you bring round to the appraisal. Make sure you're telling them what they want to hear, and that is we deal with lots of deceased estates. Perfect. Okay. All right. Are you a real estate agent? or a secret agent? What does this mean?
People know that.
Do people know about you? Yeah, are you actually a secret agent, as in hiding behind the everything, just not doing anything, not to be seen in the marketplace? I see a lot of agents who are doing this. I see a lot of agents who say, I contacted that person 1.5 years ago. They said they were going to list with me, and then next week they listed, last week they listed with LJ Hooker, and they go, I just can't believe it. And I go to them, when was the last time they contacted you? You contacted them? Oh, I haven't. I said, have you sent them anything? Any market reports? Any anniversary cards? No. But we just got on like a house on fire 1.5 years ago. Like they're in my patch. They're in my patch, and they should see me. I said, but you've sold 10 homes. What are they going to see? You go on realestate.com, you don't have a profile. You go on realestate.com, you don't have reviews. You're not doing mass letterbox drops because you did it once and it didn't work. And it's the truth. It is the truth. Right? So, are you a real estate agent or a secret agent? So when you look at your prospecting plan, and when you actually put yourself in the vendor's shoes, there is no loyalty. So think of, not in a negative way, no loyalty, right? Just think of it like that. No one owes you anything. Okay? No one owes you anything. We know that.
I think it's Tom House lately. Recency trumps loyalty.
Yeah.
Recency will beat loyalty any day of the week.
Any day.
Some guy walk off the street, you get contacted him 3 months ago, and they'll listen for
Yeah. Recency trumps loyalty. Recency and frequency kills it. Okay, and it is so important, and rightly so. I mean, we're talking about people's most valuable asset. They're going to be doing some homework, and it's easy for them to do homework on us now. Okay, so when we talk about, are you a real estate agent or a secret agent? What are the things? What are the key reasons why a seller calls any agent in for an appraisal interview? What are the key reasons?
Is that same sideboard recently or sold result?
Okay, so I've itemised it here. Okay, so market presence, yeah? For sale board? Yeah. What's the most important thing once we have for sale board up there? Letterbox drop it. And once we transact it, the sold sticker. The sold sticker. Team, I have to tell you, right? And it was one of my rants on one of my blogs. I think it was at the beginning of the year. And I was in our street, Tetragona Way. There's 24 homes in Tetragona Way. We've been living there for 20 years. We were the second residence to be built. There was a new estate, 24 properties, that's it. And so most people know us, obviously, as real estate agents. When we were listing and selling, and when we had an agent working area, we had 80% market share. On 24 homes, we worked out to a few hundred thousand in GCI. So don't think quantity is a reflection of your GCI. It's actually quality over quantity. Okay, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is an agent, opposition agent, listed a property next door to one of our neighbours. Right? And I go for a walk in the morning. Last year I was going for a walk in the morning and the afternoon. I know you look at me now and say, you know, you haven't been walking for some time, but that's okay. So twice a day I was walking. So in the morning I went for a walk. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, bumped into a neighbour. The board had just gone up on this property, opposition board. What did the neighbour ask me?
Any buyers?
What do you need to do?
No, they know I'm not listing and selling now, most of my neighbours. So that's, how much is it? How much is it? How much is it? They're asking me, how much is it going for? I mean, the board is up there. Don't you think the neighbour should have had the opportunity from that agent who listed that property? Right? It's no word of a lie. It was probably 15 days later, the property had a sold sticker on it. Okay, so it was a really quick sale. a very big sale. Out for my afternoon walk. I'm walking down the street, going back home. What do you think the neighbours asked me when they saw me? What did it sell for? Okay? Like, seriously, the agent, no just appraised, no just listed, no just sold, no phone calls, no door knocking, no nothing. Okay? Absolutely no nothing. It's a golden opportunity. So when we talk about market presence in the for sale boards and what 60% of all vendors are influenced by a recent sale to whether or not in their local street community, whether or not they get called in an agent for an interview. So, what do we get called in? For sale boards, and I've put it up the top because of what Ben said. Recency and frequency. Recency. It's just, even if this person was totally brand new in the marketplace, if they put a sold sticker on there and it was their very first sale, it's still more recent than someone who's been 20 years and hasn't had a sale in there for a month. Yeah. Okay? And that's why the beauty of this marketplace and this opportunity we have, whether you're a veteran or whether you're brand new, it's almost an even playing field at times if you put in the work consistently at either end of the spectrum. DL's another direct mail, yeah? DL's another direct mail. Realestate.com, socials, and of course we can put door knocking in there, their market presence, digital profile. So why is it we win business? Just being there at the right time, door knock example, and what a great segue that Jason Sterling had put in there. Okay? Jason's talked about walking up the driveway, as you know, I was selling, had an agent there this morning, etc., etc. I remember when we first got into real estate, and for those who know our story, came into it kicking and screaming, did not want to do real estate. I said, you've got to be kidding me, real estate agents, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I wear the pants, Marie, choose the colour. We got into real estate. I was in my hospitality business, selling potato cakes, Cameron, yes, I was selling potato cakes in our fish and chip shop business. And we're at the store, and Maria bought her real estate business, we're about to launch it, and she goes, I'm going door knocking with our sales manager. I know some of you have heard the story, but I'll share it again. With our sales manager to put on. We hadn't launched it, it was about a month before launching the office. And I remember seeing Maria from my store, walk across, park the car in our parking spot. What are you doing? Door knocking. Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously, I was mad. Anyway, so she gets out of the car with Michael, who was our sales manager at the time, a licensee as well. We need to borrow a license. Anyway, so walking up the street, it was Royal Street, Paris Street. Knocks on the first door, nothing happens. I'm looking at them, they walk out to the driveway. Go to the next one, knock on the door.
Was it corner shop?
It was a corner store. Oh, it was like yesterday. Knocks on the second door. Door opens, see a female there. They walk, get invited in. They go into the house. I'm looking at it, going, what's going on? You know, 2 minutes. Wouldn't have been 2 minutes. I'm looking, and then I see Michael open the door and start running out of the house. Running. True story. It was a short place. He just go like this. And Maria was not running out of the house. Right? Of course, I panicked. Run out into the car park, and I said to Michael, where's Maria? I was really in panic mode. He goes, I forgot my authority. I'm getting my authority. They're listing.
Did you know the lady had just come for the weekend to clean up the house? It was a separation. And as soon as she opened the door, the first thing she asked me, she goes, I heard Ricky said the F word, real estate agent. And I'm just froze. And I'm like, oh, yes, we are, but if this is not a good time, don't worry, we'll just, we can just let you. She does not get in here. She had enough. So she signed it up, it was in her name, right there and then. So
it was a great story. And they listed our property, sold it, and sold it.
Listed and sold it.
So it didn't happen without the activity. Okay. The other thing is relationships, solid database, top of mind, contact strategy. Yeah? Okay, that's a fair call. While we win business, past happy clients, continual reinforcement of the initial service delivery. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What does that mean? Continual reinforcement of the initial service delivery.
remind them how good their experience was.
Yeah.
Keep providing useful info.
Keep providing useful info. And what can that look like? Newsletter, okay, so Jason has been sending out his quarterly report, hard copy to 1,100 contacts. Obviously, it's built up over time now, it's at 1,100, it direct mails it, okay? How many of you do you think, out of those 1,100 people, pick up Jason's report, Sterling Estate Agent's report, and go, I can't wait to read this?
Only the people who are interested in real estate.
Yeah. Only at the time they were interested. So most of the time they get it, oh, he's still active. He's still, Ben, you agree or?
Yes.
Yeah, like, team, trust me on this. No one is into real estate as much as we are. The only time they're interested in stats and all that is when? They're buying and selling. If they're an investor, maybe, but most people don't. And the reality is, right, the reality is, to find out statistics in our marketplace takes us 10 minutes. We jump on realestate.com, CoreLogic, all these other portals, and we know that information. We don't need to be provided by a real estate agent. However, going back, it's simple. We've got a process in place to get it done, the newsletter. It's consistent. And there is repetitive, I should say, and there's a consistent message that I'm a real estate agent, I'm providing you with a quarterly market report, I'm active, I'm listing and selling. So that's what that is a top of mind contact strategy. What's another top of mind contact strategy as simple as that?
Anniversary gifts.
Anniversary card or gift, yeah, okay? And we'll talk about who sends out anniversary gifts. Reminders, yeah. So,
I will be when that comes up to the
Yep.
first year. Hasn't been
and
done
what
yet.
gift will you give them?
I'm actually organising Christmas gifts at the moment for
Perfect.
people that have bought, saying little ceramic discs for their trees, saying first
Love it.
Christmas in our new home with
Love
a
it.
Christmas card. They're quite cheap and effective.
Yep. And when will that become really effective?
When they see it on the tree every day and then think about
Yep.
selling.
And when they get it the year after?
Yeah.
It's number 2 and number 3 and number 4 that impacts number 1. See, most people will do it for the first time, not get a listing, or they'll get a vendor that goes and lists with the opposition, and they'll stop doing the strategy. Okay? They'll stop it because it doesn't work. I've just spent $2,000 doing it, and there's no love, there's no loyalty anymore in all that. Okay? We've got to get that out of our minds if we got that mindset. Now, here's another simple one, because we want it to be simple and consistent and repetitive. An anniversary card, happy home anniversary card, okay, and with a dollar scratch in it. That's it. Okay, and we have a number of agents that do that. And Sam Hartley does that, and he used to do a dollar scratchy for every year. So if they were there for 2 years, went to $2. If they're there for 5 years, went to $5. If they're there for 10 years, and $10, he goes, yeah, I went back to the dollar. You know what I mean? So again, simplicity, affordability, all that. Okay, so just be mindful. That to me is one of the best strategies that anyone can do on their database. Now, if
Thôi
they send
anh
an anniversary card to
chặt đẹp em
1,100
không
contacts. Now, everyone's got an anniversary in their home, and I'm assuming we're talking about homeowners potential sale, right? If you do it on their home
Em đến đây em
anniversary,
record information for my boys.
send it out. If they've got if they settled on their property, bought their property in September,
Toàn là gửi nó đi
when you
food
send
work.
out their anniversary card,
Không có train nó.
first of the month, middle of the month, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So people get a little bit, oh, should have sent it on the date so it arrives on the dates and stuff like that. I said, simple. Keep it simple. September marks 5-year anniversary of your home. I hope you're loving it as much as you did originally. And gee, you've done well. The market went up 30%. You're well over the $1 million mark. Probably only got 800, but it's well over $1 million. Just that. But what I'm saying is personalised. Okay. Cameron, you shared a little bit of a strategy in. Cameron, do you want to just stand up? We're going to have you on the hot seat next time. And do you want to just share a little bit of your story? Because I think this is a real. Actually, I want to get you at the front so everyone can hear us as well. Do you want to just share how you got into real estate? How long you've been in real estate? and what you're actually doing right now.
So I've been in real estate since, probably, I kind of started at the start of the year but didn't really sell my first house till about April. So very new, worked with Rogers and Wilson here, with Oliver. I got into real estate. I've worked for probably pretty big FMCG companies and that, like Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Fairfax Media, actually working for Domain, kind of got me into dealing with real estate agents. Then I just had a lot of them that said, you should be in real estate, you'll do really well. Yeah.
And but you're still working full time?
Still working full time.
Selling potato cakes?
Outside of real estate. So I'm, you get worn out, I suppose, burnt out.
Yeah.
But hopefully by the end of this year, I've done really well the last 3 months. I've made a bit over 100,000 in commission. So
can we give that? And one of your best prospecting strategies, if I recall correctly, was your handwritten or looked like a handwritten card.
Yeah, so because I'm obviously pretty time poor, like a lot of people, especially when you have a full-time job in real estate, the first probably 4 months I didn't really earn anything in real estate. Everything that I earned in commission I spent back in marketing. I just did my tax yesterday, so I found that out. And it really works when you do, so what we did very short and sweet, but it virtually just said, hi there, sorry I missed you. We've got plenty of buyers looking for a property like yours, and you get it photocopied so it looks identical just on a DL. And the amount of people that actually ring and say, listen, it's unbelievable that you've spent the time and done this letter. When can you come and see me? And it really does work. Yeah.
And you get appraisals. But it was interesting you said, hi there, sorry I missed you, because that implies that you're door knocking the street.
Yeah.
Or you're door knocking and then hand
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a motto that some people see it kind of invasive, but if especially because I only do the area that I live in on the Gold Coast, I like to not just drop in letterboxes, actually drop at the front door.
Yeah.
So I don't believe really that much in door knocking. I'm not too much of a fan of it, especially because the area that we live in, everyone's got CCTV, and they'll see you coming up and they're like, here we bloody go, Jehovah's Witness or whatever they might think as you're walking up the door. But when you leave it at the front door, or you might leave it on the patio, something like that, at least while you're walking the streets as well, you can talk to people. So there's always someone out washing their cars or mowing their lawn or doing something like that, and that's when you can have just a real easy conversation. I try not to overdress either. If you go out, I'd never dress like this, for example, door knocking. I just go out in like a polo shirt and maybe something that makes you look a bit casual, and
Not what the Jehovah's Witnesses.
that's right. Yeah. People don't, they don't feel intimidated by you especially if they're just out in their shorts and shirt or something like that. Typical Queensland bogans we are. So yeah.
Did you find a particular time of day was better than others for door knocking?
Always Saturday.
Always Saturday.
Yeah, so I won't.
Morning?
Always morning, mid mornings.
10:30, 11:30?
Yep. Yeah, always run that. I just always put myself back into what I would like, and if I'm sitting at home preparing dinner or something and someone's bashing on my door,
Nothing less.
yeah, I just go, oh, what the? So Saturday morning's usually a good time as well as people are out doing their chores around the house.
Can we give it up? We've heard it twice about when to do door knocking. Okay, so before an auction on Saturdays, I'm assuming the majority are on Saturdays, right? The flags are pointable to our fishing accounts. People are in real estate mode. Okay, past happy clients, we've spoken about that. And of course, referrals. That's why we win. On the opposite scale, what are some of the common reasons we lose listings to the opposition? Now, before we go into this, who read and listened to my blog on Monday? That actually came out on Tuesday. It came out on Monday night. Should have come out on Monday morning, but it came out on Monday. Who listened to my blog? Yep, great. Did it resonate? Okay. So, in a coaching session with a particular agent, they had lost the listing and it really got to them. They'd lost this listing and so forth. Now, trust me guys, I can sympathise and empathise with that agent because when I lost my first listing, way back in 2003, November 12th, 6 Winton Court.
Tattooed on your arm?
Far out. They promised they were going to call their kids after us, to name their kids after us. No. Guys, I thought this was in the bag, so forth, and we lost the listing. Tell them I'm over it. Anyway, we lost the listing, and phone call came into the office. Maria picked up the phone, wished them all the best, congratulated them, wished them all the best with the opposition agent, and then moved on to the next phone call. Of course, I didn't take it that calmly, right? And I went and had a hiss with it, and of course Maria sent me home for 3 days. So I think you need to go home, come back when you're ready. It took me 3 days. Okay, so I totally empathise. Sorry? Yeah, take that energy with you. So I empathise with everyone who loses a listing, and it really, really hurts. Okay? But only reason it really, really hurts, and we should be upset when we lose a listing, the ones that we really want, we worked hard for, because that means to me you care, okay? But don't let it consume your day, let it consume you for 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever, and then move on to the next one. And the only way that it won't affect you is, number one, if you're meeting your targets, and you've got a whole bunch of pipeline, okay? So losing listings is not about losing that listing, it's all about what you've got in pipeline and what's coming your way as well. And also be graceful in defeat. JC, you shared your story this morning in regards to a withdrawn listing. You couldn't sell the listing some time ago. They went to an opposition agent. They ended up selling it at the price JC could have got them as well. We know those things happen. Okay, sorry? Less, because obviously we know that happens. And it's unfortunate for the vendor, and you've got to feel for the vendor. But having said that, he kept the lines of communication open, and what just happened in the last 24 hours?
To sell the property, you have to look for
Okay, so it wasn't a seller. He sold them a property after helping them try to find one for 24 months, for 12 months, the last 12 months. So kept the relationship. Don't burn relationships. Now, I'm not saying you've got to be friends with everyone, and there's certain people we won't be putting on our database. There'll be certain guys and certain vendors that say, look, thank you, not your tribe. Right? And we'll talk about that in a moment, okay? But lose gracefully. So what are some of the, so going back to the story, the point of the story is, I got that agent to look at the last few weeks of listings that came on. He said it was about 12, it was probably longer than 2 to 3 weeks. It was 12 listings that came onto the market. And I asked the question to the agent, how many of those did you lose? And the agent goes, I didn't get called in. Oh. I said, well, that's more of a problem than you losing a listing. I'd be more worried about why you never got called into 12 that was in your service area, because that tells me you did nothing, you've been a secret agent. I'd be more worried about that, because this is the stats, guys, and it never fails, ever fails. There is a vendor for every agent, an agent for every vendor. On average, for every 1,000 homes, there are 3 real estate agents prospecting 1,000 homes. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, but if you average it right across Australia, that's what the numbers are, okay? So for every 1,000 homes, you're probably going to be up against 2 other agents. Just getting in the door, and if you have a half-decent listing presentation, you'll win 1 in 3. That's the numbers. And it's always happened, okay? It always happens. So the whole point of prospecting is having the opportunity to get in the door. So I guarantee you, if the best exercise people can do, I'm going to talk about that in another slide, so go back to REA, new listings, have a look, right? Have a look whether or not that person was in your database, when was the last time you contacted, when was the last time they picked up a piece of material and all that. And it's going to reveal 2 things, right? It's going to reveal 2 things. In most instances, you're not going to feel that guilty or disappointed because they never received anything from you. It was patchy weren't working, it was this, it was that. However, if your opportunity is really low and your market share is really low, you've got growth potential. Yeah. If you had 100% market share and 100% opportunity ratio and you're not hitting your targets, mate, you've got to shift areas. You've got to expand your area. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas if you've got low market share at the moment, you've got huge potential in front of you doing the right things. Okay? Alright. So what are some of the common reasons we lose listings to the opposition? And I'm sure there's going to be heaps more of this, but we don't get called in the first place. Our market presence has not been engaged enough for them to call us in. Okay. So what is market presence?
Your branding.
For sale boards, realestate.com, letterbox drops, social media, door knocking, and so forth. Okay? Because if they're not on your database, to get on your database, it's got to be called in to get them on the database. If you don't have their details, or if you have their details and you haven't made a cold call to them, how are you going to engage? Okay? So, and that's number one. The biggest reason why we're not achieving our targets is we are not getting called into enough listings. Period, period, period. Okay? Those agents, okay, the number one agent in Australia at the moment in sales transaction is Josh Tesselin. 360 or 50 odd sales, right? Just a casual, him and his PA. That's only himself, and then his office does another 200 or 300 on the side, so an EBU. His claim to fame is letterbox shops. Letterbox shops. Thousands and thousands and thousands. And of course, he's got, obviously with the results, he's got a profile now, he's built up a database, he's got that momentum point happening. Right? But in his first time, it was door knocking and making sure that he was mushrooming from his very first listing and getting one sale after another and providing great service. Okay. The other agents said they have a buyer. Who's heard that when they've lost a listing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Okay? So, if we know that, we've lost listings to other agents saying that they have a buyer, what should we be doing? We have buyers. Okay? So you've really got to start thinking we have buyers. So Mahesh, when we had our training session with Mahesh, his tagline, and they do, and we'll talk about that, Brad. His tagline is the agent with the buyers. The agent with the buyers. So all his marketing tool, his business card, the agent with the buyers. Claire, I think we spoke about that one for you as well, the agent with the buyers. Get that psychology happening in your marketing piece, right? So the other thing I also said, and I'm not sure if anyone's done this within a group, I'm just waiting for one person to tell me I've been doing it and it's been a great success. If you're working as an EBU, even if you're not, if you've got some colleagues, when you're making your appointments with your sellers, especially if your strike rate isn't that high, you're not converting 70-80% of the listings that are coming onto the market and you're losing more than 50% of the competitor, my suggestion would be, especially if you have, as long as you've got the buyers, we all can take buyer lists into listing presentations. I'm really hoping you do that, because you should, because working your buyers is critical. Absolutely critical in your success in real estate. Is in your listing presentation is, John, really excited about our meeting tomorrow. Catch up with yourself and Janzi. Just to let you know, schedule it for 4 o'clock. I will be bringing Maria with me. She's my buyer's agent. And she'll be just spending 5 minutes with us in the property, just to cross-reference the current buyers that we're working with, to see if it your home matches any of their criteria. Is that okay with you? She won't be with us for the whole presentation, just 5 minutes. Okay? Now, what does that do in the vendor's mind? Confidence and a plan to seed. Don't you hate it when you make a listing presentation, you book it in for 2 days, and they say, I've listed with the other agent that came in today. Do you know what I mean? Because you never got into the door. Okay, so when you can plant a little bit of a seed to say we've got buyers, we can match them. And I'm not saying it happens, but when it does happen, at least you've covered all bases. But I think it's really important, because what does a seller want? They want to know that you've got buyers to sell them. If we lose to other agents about buyers, I think that's really important. Now, Brad said something really, really important. We all have buyers. Do we all have buyers?
Yeah.
What if I was today, my first day in real estate? Do I have buyers?
Yep.
If you're in an office with a database.
I'm starting online, yes. That's it. Exactly. This Mrs. Vendor, I've got access to the biggest database of buyers right across Australia. And I'd love, that's your line. That's JC's line. And I said, JC, that's the best line ever. Right? And I'm not going to do a Tom Panos and not give you credit for it. But it's a truth, Mrs. Vendor. We've got access to the biggest database of buyers across Australia. It's called realestate.com and domain. Let me show you how we can capitalise it. Mrs. Vendor, I know the other agent said that they've got buyers, and I know you're saying that we haven't sold in this area and possibly we don't have buyers, but let me share it with you. We as real estate agents all have access to buyers, but sometimes those buyers are what we call the underbidders, because we've all got listings. And those listings, those buyers aren't prepared to pay the maximum price, so we can sell those listings. So we consider them the underbidders. And whilst I've also got buyers on my database, I wouldn't want you to be entertaining with the underbidders who aren't prepared to pay the most. Let me get you onto the biggest database of buyers, that every 6 weeks we get a fresh load of buyers come through realestate.com. We know there's 1 million views every single month. And obviously go down that path. You are real estate agents, okay? If you were to sell your home, or if you've recently sold your home, where have you advertised it? Standard listing?
No, premium.
Oh, premium.
Yeah.
Premium. Premium unlimited.
With video and stuff.
With video and styling. Okay. So do we share those stories?
And auction.
Do we share those stories, Mr. Vendors? Let me just share our story, Mrs. Vendor. 2 years ago we sold our house, or 6 months ago we sold our house, or we sold our house, and the last thing, we're real estate agents, we've got access to buyers. The last thing I would do is entertain with buyers. I want to be selling my home in competition, not in to one buyer, okay? Not in isolation. I want lots of buyers to drive the price. And for a small investment, which is really an insurance policy, I want to make sure that we maximise the price on our house and we go to realestate.com.
Actually, Manos, there's a really good story in Alexandra Headlands at the moment.
Alexandra Headlands, yeah.
So anyone who knows Alex Heads, there's one house left on the strip. It sold 3 weeks ago, $6.6 million for a little beach shack.
Little beach shack for 6.6 million, Alexandra Headlands, and the story behind it is?
Story behind is everyone, like even people who aren't buyers, everyone wanted to buy that house, and it sold off market. And there is so many people saying, I would have, could have, should have bought that. Now, to be fair, the owner respectfully didn't want the kerfuffle. They wanted a private thing.
Yep.
But there are so many people saying, I would have bought that if I knew it was for sale.
Yep. And that is such an important, they're the stories we need to be sharing with vendors. Putting it on realestate.com, going through a proper marketing campaign really is an insurance policy. And you've got to believe it. And of course, if we do it for ourselves, I know if I put my property on the market, there is no way I'll risk the sale price by doing a standard or trying to sell it off market within reason. And I totally respect some vendors, right? And we've got to put it in the vendor's shoes as well, okay? There's a trust issue also, guys. There's a trust issue. There's also psychology, a scarcity mentality issue. Sometimes there's that scarcity mentality. Some vendors might have sellers, because we do real estate every single day. We understand it's the best thing, but they don't understand. And sometimes we've got to give them what they want. And if it's an off market because in their mind they can't see the value in the marketing, well, so be it. Do the transaction. Does that make sense? But understand why you're doing it. It's because that's what they want. And if they don't want the kerfuffle, that's what you do. Okay? There's no right or wrong, and that's what I'm trying to say.
If it went to market, it would have stopped traffic.
It would have stopped traffic. Yeah, I totally agree. But again, it's the vendor. It's the vendors. Did the agent? It sold off market with which agent?
It sold off market with an agent who wasn't even local to that
market.
Had a relation.
Yeah.
Because me and 3 of the other local agents. It's the house, it's the unicorn house everyone's been trying to get touch of the owner, and
it is.
Could the agent have spoken to your property and said, look, I think you can sell this on shortly?
And what JC is saying, could the agent have, for lack of a better expression, educated the vendor and informed him better in regards to the process of selling to
I
full
think,
market.
I think the agent did a good job and got a good price. But the point is, and this is the point that most sellers relate to, is that they all would have, could have, should have,
Yeah.
if they knew that that house was available, they would have begged, borrowed and
Yeah.
steal to get it. But they didn't have, it's all about the chance, they didn't have
Yeah.
the chance.
You wouldn't want to die wondering.
Yeah.
I think that's the debate. Jan, you going to say something?
I was just gonna say, exactly this conversation that we're having at the moment, and using numbers and knowing how many buyers are actually registered in your postcode is very powerful, and that's what we use.
Yep.
So at any given time, for the 457 postcode, there's 2,000 registered buyers looking for real estate, and we could do.
And you get that statistic from where?
From REA.
REA.
So we know that we might lose maybe 100 or 200 that actually buy, but we also get that 200 back
Yep.
within the next month. So we could try and market listing for you if that's what you want to do in the first place, and understand that we are not going to allow those buyers to buy your property cheaper just because it's off market, but we'd rather expose you to those 2,000 buyers that are in our postcode that we know are ready to buy. So we can definitely try it that way first, and if then that doesn't work and we don't get the number that we should, then we go after it with a proper campaign.
And it's a great point that Janzi brings up. We've got our database of buyers and we bring out our list to listing presentations, but who actually prints off the realestate.com report for the suburb and say there's currently 1,700 buyers looking at this postcode?
The numbers are there.
The numbers are there, so you might as well print it off. And if they say, why should I pay $2,000 for a Premier Plus, whatever, I just say, look,
Sắp sửa
could
hết
be one of these buyers that will pay
That's the
that
summer.
premium, get in competition. So again, understand the tools. Okay, moving forward, agent relationships, why we lose, of course people have relationships. Understand if you've got a relationship with the vendor and they've listed with you and they haven't had the opposition, that's you. You're one of the raving fans. And then of course, not our tribe, there's an agent for every seller and a seller for every agent. And it's just the way it is. I haven't known anyone that have 100% market share in any market, and I haven't known any agent that have 100% great relationship with sellers and with buyers, because people are people. And that's why when you see a whole bunch of different agents, right, and you go, oh, look what probably said it. Hey, this property. Do you know what I mean? Or hey, they get the business offer. I can't believe they chose that agent. But there is a vendor for every seller. Sorry, an agent for every seller and a seller for every agent. And that's just the way it is. Okay? And timing plays an important role too. Okay, some quick wins. Right? So we're really on track. We should be well finished before 1:30 so we can have a bit of Q&A. And then we'll sit down for some light lunch. Okay, some quick wins. Amplify OFIs. Conduct 2 or more per week. Okay, so we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks to make an impression. And what else do we want to do over the next 2 to 3 months? Pick up those people who are thinking about selling early next year in February, March. Okay, so this is the time to be making the connections to get those conversations. You're looking at selling before Christmas or post the New Year. It's just a simple question. Are you looking at selling before Christmas? Do you want to be sold and settled before Christmas, or are you looking at it early in the new year? Just a simple question, so you start building up that pipeline. Because 40 to 50% of our transactions happen in these 4 months. So ask the questions. Okay, drop VIP offer invites before every open, every weekend. Guys, I can't stress this. We've heard it so many times. The OFI invites, and when you list the property, you list it, you launch it, you have your first open for inspection, okay? How many OFI drops does everyone do on the very first open for inspection? Or what's your number? 50, 25? Do we do it? Please put your hand up. I'm not going to watch. Do you do OFI open invites religiously? As in, when I say religiously, out of 9 out of 10 listings, you're doing open for, not just listed is well before, open for inspection. Put your hand up.
We have signboards out everywhere. We have directionals out everywhere.
Ủa
Again.
anh
And Please
What's
don't think I'm
OFI?
critical when I say this.
Open
okay?
for
If you're not
inspection.
meeting your targets, you don't have to do anything. If you're doing nothing, you're
And
meeting your targets, you're the best.
FSBO.
But you are. Like, it's the truth. And that's what happens, obviously, if you're in real estate long enough, and it's probably the biggest frustration for most new people coming into real estate, when they go into an office, and there's an agent who doesn't prospect, an agent that doesn't do anything, and they get all these inbounds. They're getting paid for work that they did 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And you can't begrudge them for that. Because they've earned it. Great service, great presence just by their current listings. Having said that too, I don't know too many who are achieving, I call them high performance, as in they're selling 30, 40, 50 homes plus per year, who are not doing these very basics, okay? Tim, if you only get one thing out of today, it's your
FSBO for sale before auction. No.
It is the most important. And I'm
FSBO
sure
là sao?
people who do it, and it sounds like a few people do it. Remember what I said to you earlier? If you want to be different, just do what the others aren't doing. If we've seen in this room that we did not get 90% of the hands up, what a point of difference for you. What a point of difference for you. Oh, that's all I'd be doing. Now trust me, we're going to do this at PB again, right? Who's going to be at PB? Every single person in this room is going to stand up when I say, do you do OFI invites, okay?
Oh.
It's so important.
Can you step closer to the laptop so people can hear?
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
If you can, as much as you can.
So OFI invites. Now, we've listed the property. The first open for inspection happens on Saturday, right? On Saturday. How many invites are we going to do on that Saturday? 200. You do 200? Fantastic. 250.
So I do the same, I do about 250 invites, usually the day before.
The day before, 250, great, okay. If you didn't have, say you only did 50 that open, what would you do with the other 200? Say you printed them off. Would you do it the week after?
Correct. If I'm running at the exact same time,
Yeah?
yes.
Yeah, you print them off, you know, the time.
And hit the same rate of time, yeah.
And that's, because I've been speaking to a number of people and they go, oh, I've missed it now, I can't do the home open invite, I've already had the first one. I said, what are you talking about? Do 50 on that side, do 50 on the right hand side. If you don't have time to do 250, there's no point just doing 50, 50, 50. If you're going to open it 4 times, there's 200 people, just doing 50 at a time, okay? So just amplify that. Just because it's not the first open for inspection doesn't mean you can't drop another OFI invite, okay? It is the most important one. Why is it the most important one?
Often you'll get the most people through.
Often you get the most people through. Yeah, but I want you to put psychology again. Remember we started talking about psychology. What's the psychology of most or many sellers in the neighbourhood when they see their neighbour's property come on the market? They want to know, yeah, but also they don't want to be busybodies going into the neighbour's home. Okay? That's a bit cool, isn't it? Yeah. I know, that's how I would feel. They go down the street, they know I'm not going to buy it, why am I going to interrupt their open for inspection and all that? So you get the invite, that's what you hear from sellers. Thank you so much, I really wanted to see it, and they bring the OFI invite with them. If you're not getting that, you're not doing enough OFI invites. And it's VIP, it's really, the DL should be really nice, classy, handwritten if you can do it, and you'll get more traction. Now, it doesn't mean every vendor, every seller or neighbour is going to come to you open for inspection. But what does it do? Yeah, and people will start activating. You're doing something a little bit different. When we started doing the VIP opens and we used to put the sticker on it, we had a vendor call us from Whistlestone. I'll never forget it. They go, we just want to say, because it was in an envelope and we had the VIP open card in it. It was like an invite to a wedding or to an event. They go, that's the best piece of marketing we've ever seen. So if one person bothered to call the office, 100 other people are thinking the same thing.
I got a funny story I want to share.
Please, Brad.
Again, I just started in real estate about 7 years ago now. I started working, my boss actually gave me an area as far away from the office, because I think she just didn't want me near it, to be honest. So you go and work this area, it's 20 minutes drive, and maybe it was just to see whether I was committed to the work like that. I used to drop every 2 days, I was in that area, so I got one Tuesday, I got one Thursday, I got one Saturday.
How many homes?
I was doing about
1,000. Wow.
So it was all again.
Full on.
I walked the whole place, so it was flat out. But after about 9 months, I owned, I think I went to about 30% market share after 6 months, and then after 50% market share after 10 months. That was just literally dropping the lines and door to door. But at the end of that, there's a new subdivision open up. I got to sell 4 or 5 houses in there and 5 blocks of land just out of the one mentor. But I was dropping flyers and I got a phone call from an old gentleman. His name was Alf. I still remember. It was handwritten flyer and it was an open for inspection invite. And he rings up and he goes, "Are you Brad?" And he speaks in one of those tones where you think, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble." I said, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "You put something in my letterbox." I thought, "Here we go." And he says, "It's a handwritten letter, and my brother Alf lives in Darwin, and that house that you've got at 13 Pondong Place in Yandina, I think he'd like to buy it. So I want to get my brother closer to me. Now Alf's in Darwin. I'm going to post that to him," and he did. He posted the handwritten letter to Darwin, and 2 weeks later, Alf turned up on a plane and walked for that. So the power of the handwritten, the power of the handwritten.
There is a science to, and that's why we call it the art and science of lead generation. And if you have not devoured this book from start to finish, or any of the other 4 books, you need to do it. You need to spend 10, 15 minutes. The art and science of lead generation. Brad said something which those people that have attended a number of our PB sessions may recall. I have yet, and I've never spoken to Brad about service area, saturation, and what's possible. Right? He just shared it from his own experience. I have never, ever met anyone who has letterbox dropped, done direct mail, and prospected a service area whether it's 500 homes, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and not achieved a minimum 25 to 30% market share in their area. So long as it's done weekly, fortnightly at the very least. No one. Who has been doing their drop diary? Okay. So, no, I want you to
The
stand
drop
up.
what?
Yeah, please.
Who can do the drop?
Drop diary.
What's the drop diary?
I don't drop. So the question was from Claire, what are my thoughts on no junk mail? I never dropped junk mail. So for example, when myself and Maria were
I never dropped junk mail. Did you?
I'll get you to stand up in a moment.
They
Listing and selling.
you shouldn't drop junk mail. He said he never do that.
Junk mail. All we did was send them a price drive letter, mailed, enveloped with the stamp on it through the post, and sent it that way. And sent them calendar magnets. Never dropped it. I don't handle rejection or abuse over the phone really well, so no. And it's illegal.
It's
So
illegal.
I don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Now there's some agents that do it, and and they come to me like this. It's an authority. It's got a no junk mail on it, and they just called me in because I put my flyer in there. Okay, it's worked for you, but I always think of the other 35, right? That say, "I'll never ever use you." Do you know what I mean? I think it's just polite. There's ways of doing it, so why not?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
There's
mean?
a lot of people that move into a house and they're not done.
Yes.
It's been there from
Yes.
the previous owner. If you're looking after a patch, what I would do is go on off with my junk mail, introduce yourself, and say that you've been listening to receiving some. And that's why I think if you keep it to 1,000 homes, I think people just go over the top and just try and get big, huge areas. If you keep it to 1,000 homes, you can actually monitor all that. You can build really strong relationships.
So Maria was saying about keeping it tight, as in 1,000 homes, to build those relationships, to be able to do that prospecting consistently. So going back, who stand up if you've started your drops diary
500.
and collated it? you've kept it going.
Yeah, just got an Excel spreadsheet.
Excel, do you collect all the paraphernalia from your
Local.
Yes.
local? Yeah, and you staple it into your diary? Yeah. What do you do? Just collect? Yeah, and you put the date on it. Yeah. Which is fine, so there's no right. Can we give a round of applause to these guys? Again, 80% of the
What's a
room
drop
didn't stand
down
up,
that
right?
you drop it?
The simplicity of this, again, I've been doing it for years. A number of the team within the Frankston office do it for years, and every single time, no one has proven me wrong as yet, because probably not enough people are doing the drop story, but anyway. That the agency that has consistently put out direct mail and contact points has market share. Every single time. And it's 20, 30, 40, 50%. Sometimes it's even more, okay? So understand the power of such a simple tool. Now, a drops diary is you collect the paraphernalia that comes into your home, especially if it's in your service area. If where you live is not your service area, please get someone within your service area to collect it. Right? It's really simple. It's going to give you clarity. And there's two reasons. Number one, if you see a whole bunch of agents letterbox dropping, and especially if there's one or two, which is normally the case, dominant, and you're not doing it, what's going to motivate you to do it? Do it. It's going to motivate you. What if no one's doing letterbox drops? What's it going to do for you? Even better, you want to smash it out, okay? And it's like last week, this week, your accountability buddy in regards to appraisals and so forth. Like accountability every Monday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, sending out how many appraisals you did last week and how many have you got booked this week. If it's 1 last week and 0 this week, what's it going to make you feel you got to do on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock? Hit the phones, okay? What if you said, and your target was 3 appraisals a week, and you did 4 appraisals last week and you got 2 booked this week? How's it going to make you feel? Pretty good, and you're going to do more phone calls to get to that 3 and to do even more. Do you know what I mean? So it is a psychological thing, but it's what works, okay? Please, Sue.
One of our point of differences that we found with our things that we've got around letterboxes to people is that we don't do deals, we do an actual A4 sheet that we have printed, we haven't folded, we get them to fold it, the printers for us. We do it in batches of 200 or 250 or 1,000 or whatever we're doing at the time. And we find people open it up and, you know, read it instead of just a deal flyer. So they're going, well, what actually is this? And we can open it out. So we've just found it's a bit of a point of difference to what everybody else is dropping around us in our area.
Yeah.
Just further to that, sorry, because I've actually been doing A5s in my area, and I got 4 in my letterbox on the same day, and varying sizes. There was an A6 postcard size, a couple of DLs, and my A6, which is bigger than all the others. And there are some letterboxes they don't fit in, but except what's this big one?
But it's different. You want to be a little bit different, and that consistency of message, but you want it to be simple as well, okay? So just being that little bit of difference, but you've also got a trademark. What's your trademark?
Hot pink cells.
Hot pink cells, okay? So it's getting that trademark out there. That's so important. It's just consistency of message. And I wouldn't be changing it. I would not be changing it. If you go jump onto Cameron's social media, his social media is very specific to Cameron. Do you know what I mean? So jump onto it. I really highly recommend it, but he'll get traction. People will relate. It will attract his tribe to the social media that he's doing. It's different to everyone else's. Okay, moving forward. Okay, so drop VIP open invites before every weekend, withdrawn for sale by owner. So there's a few withdrawn listings. And I have noticed in our marketplace that people are picking up withdrawn listings. This is the stats. 50% of withdrawn listings list with another agent. I find that if 10 are withdrawn in a particular marketplace over a year, 5 end up listing with another agent. And of those 5, about 80%, 4 of them actually end up selling. Okay? That's what the statistic is. So follow your withdrawn listings. We've got a fantastic letter in the resource hub that you can use. Personalise it. Andy from Clark & Co. Had a message in there, shared it with someone else who asked a question in regards to withdrawn listings and so forth. So it's there. Use it. Okay. So, just some quick wins. But wait, there's more. Over service, hot warm contact. What does that mean?
Call them often.
Call them often. Okay. Call them often. Weekly call, SMS, wire follow-up, note on FM, and deal makers. This is the time to be really following up your buyers. They are your future sellers. I guarantee you. If you look at the page, ask buyer. Okay. And saturate your area with the buyer letter, price drive letter, and fridge magnets. Buyer letters work, but as long as you've got the buyers, you need to have the buyers, right? That's so important. As long as it's genuine. The buyer letter, the price drive letter, Michael McClure swears by that. He drops his area twice a year, and you get great results from it as well. Great. Okay. Battery is on the way. That's probably not a really good thing, guys. So hopefully, yeah. That's okay. All good. I'm gonna. We've got about 10 minutes to go anyway. Okay. Saturate your area with actual magnets. Who's ordered their fridge magnets? Great. That needs to be done. All right. How fit is your database? This is an important one, team. How fit is your database? If we look at this, please don't look at your database as numbers. They're actually real people. They are real people. As soon as you put, I wish databases had the opportunity to actually put a photo of the vendor in there whenever you're calling them. I really do. I mean, on your phone you can do that and so forth, but it's so important to have a visual representation. It's not data. As soon as you have, when you have the understanding they're people, you act differently. It's easier to contact them. It's not just numbers. So, how many clean records do you have on your database? Name, address, email, and mobile. Jason said 1,100. He's been in the business for 6+ years, 1,100, and he tells me that's his clean database. Like if he rang any of them, they're aware of who he is. Okay, he's accumulated 1,100. He sells between 50 and 70 homes. He's writing about 700 to 900,000 in GCI. Okay. So it's really simple. Who is methodical about that? Need to get better at it. Okay? So important. How many have you added since the 1st of January? You need to keep track of that. Like if it's 5 people, if it's 10 people, if you start the week and you've had 100 people and at the end of the week you haven't added anyone to your database, you haven't done enough. You've got to accumulate this data. Okay? People in your database are what people would call in real estate mode. When they're in real estate mode, for you to be able to get their details, they're willing to talk to a real estate agent. These people are more likely to be moving. And so the percentage compared to your BDA is really high. So from 1,000 contacts, normally about 10% sell in any 12-month period. So have you noted contacts coming to market with the opposition without the opportunity to pitch that are in your database? So, I'll share a story. Rita. Rita is one of those AI tools that scrapes your data in your database and compares to see who comes on. Me and Rita don't have a great relationship because Rita tells me how much data is in our database that is listed with the opposition agents. Okay? So that tells me, and obviously we've been at EV Real Estate since 2006, right? And obviously our agents own their data. We don't cost it because it's their data. But it just tells me how few people actually communicating on a regular basis, okay? And they're not getting called back in to pitch. So it's so important. The ones that are, we know, you just look at their numbers. If you look at their numbers, you know who it is. I don't need to share names. You know, they're doing what they're meant to be doing, okay? All right. So touch points. So simple, team. And this is what simplicity, consistency of message, and repetition. From email, need to be on an active type email. You need to have them on an email. Who opens every single email that you obviously subscribe to? No. 80 to 90% of us will say 80 to 90% of our emails go unanswered or unopened. We don't read every single email. But what does it tell you every time you receive a subscribed email from something that you subscribe to? What does it tell you? Active. You're not a secret agent. You're not a secret agent. You're not going to read it. No one reads it. Like real estate business sends an email every single day. I do not read every single email. But every now and then I'll just pop into it. Do you know what I mean? But I know there's still a media company. I know that me as an advertiser on real estate business am happy that they're doing that. Does that make sense? I know they're going to get some click-through rates, right? Property anniversary, we've spoken about that. Add the scratchy, we'll change the business. Just listed, just sold, story, SMSs. I mean, as that happen, that's so important. Just listed, just sold, as that happen. End of financial year, end of calendar year, market reports. Sometimes doing a quarterly report is a lot. It's a big investment. Just do an end of financial year and end of calendar year, twice a year. And you don't have to always use the tools. Again, sometimes we've got to go to the point of least resistance. Now, this is an honesty conversation that you can have with yourself. You say, you know what, to actually spend $2,000 to $3,000 every time to do a quarterly report, to actually collate the data, to get it to the printers, and then to mail it, there's a bit of an effort. I might do it the first time, then I might stack off in the second time. I might do it the second time, I probably won't do it the third time. Just, do you want to see if you can get some else on the computer? Not many. Or just go in there and say, I will finish it this way. Probably a few, but anyway. Okay. Well, actually, I need a computer to be like this. We're getting another computer, right? No, pull up.
Do you know which part of Melbourne he lives in? Do you know which part of Melbourne?
Near side Frankston. That side down
That's country, huh? Regional. No, it's near beach. Huh?
Never been up every office.
Morningside, Frankston.
Because like everyone's always got
Technical problem. Magnet Button.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Kenny?
Much information overload.
Kenny, eh? What do you reckon? Lots of very good information, eh? I feel like a big picture, not just a small.
Oh, where's my paper? Why?
Cắt cái gì nè? Để lo về cho em nè.
No, give it to me.
Lo về cho em cắt, cuối cùng nó bị
No.
ném.
I don't want to show my voice.
Đúng rồi, show your boy gì nữa.
No, you take it.
Cái đầu này là phải
Mất tiêu luôn.
This whole thing is for Troy.
Troy and Kenny. I want to read my read it.
Không có thấy được.
Trời, cái trơn đồ của tôi, đồ của mình giữ rồi, trơn đồ của người ta nó tham lam. Technical problem. Simplicity, consistency of message, repetition. Are you real estate agent or secret agent? What are the key reasons why a seller calls any agent in for an appraisal? ONFM. ONFM open. Honey. ONFM, what is that?
But mine had even been his social media.
Sorry, I just quickly.
May have been emails. You break that up.
What do they stand for, though, the word, the letters?
There's more. Over the Sacramento BBA area, we're coming to the. So the SMS link. So what I was
But wait, there's more. How
is an SMS
fit
link.
is your database?
For your, what have we got on the back of our insights tab on our websites? Suburb profiles. Yeah? So, if we know that 90% of emails don't get opened, if we know that 90% of people don't read their letters and stuff like that, but it's just a reinforcement, and we're talking about doing market reports and putting the effort into it, and then knowing no one puts the effort into it and they don't read it, it's kind of, you know, it's disheartening. But if the whole purpose is to make sure that we're top of mind awareness, everyone's website, suburb profile, click into it and go to Bullshit. And it's got all the suburb stats on there, and it's got all your listings on there. Send it as an SMS. That's it. Nice and simple. How many people are going to open it? You reckon more? Yeah, I was going to say 10%. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. With the link, yeah, but so I've got a copy here, so I've got them.
Let's get it
Is, and I'll talk about the SMS in a moment, and I've shared it before, but just keep it simple. I guess if you do it the first year, so end of financial year, right? So you send out an SMS to your whole database at the end of financial year and say, what a great financial year it was, blah, 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 here's the latest stats on Caboolture. And you just put the suburb profile on there. And it's got the stats in there. It's whatever domain to put in there. Is it right, is it wrong? I don't know. But it doesn't really matter, but it looks good too. If you look at it and you open it up, it looks pretty good. Do you know what I mean? So you've got that tool to make it simple and repeatable. And you can do that at the end of the calendar year as well. Okay? You don't have to go to the expense or the effort of doing a market report. And is the market report hard copy better? Yes, it is. But you're better off doing something that's simply repetitive and being top of mind than not doing anything new. Okay? How many anniversary calls do you need to? Okay, let's get shit done. Who does anniversary calls? Okay, great. How many do you do on a monthly basis on average?
4 or 5.
4 or 5? 3, okay.
1 or 2.
1 or 2, great. Okay, so anniversary calls on cold data. So idea for me, so when we go into CoreLogic, we can go into people's properties and find out when they bought it and when they sell their property. Can't we send them an anniversary card? And sometimes we can get their data through ID for me. You can call them and say our records indicate that it's been your 3rd year in your property. Congratulations, we hope you like it as much as you did when you first got there. If the market's gone up 20%, you've done really well in capital gain. Okay? And then you send them what? Thank you card, just a note to stay card, or an anniversary card, or whatever. When's the best time to call people? Now, I'm not talking about hot people. I'm not talking about your hot buyers and your hot vendors and people who are imminently listing. I'm talking about cold data that we should be connecting with. When's the best time to be calling them? Do you think? After 5 in the morning. Why in the morning? Are at work? Yes. And if they're at work, what are they going to do? They're not going to answer the phone. And that's what you want. You don't want them to answer the phone, you want to leave a voicemail. Okay? People listen to their voicemail. And they'll remember you. I learned that from James Tosterman. So we spent $2,000 going to see James Tosterman. James Tosterman has been #1 agent in Australia for many, many years. And he went up to Eric one time and he goes, and I'm giving out, for $2,000 you can come and watch me for 2 hours to prospect. $2 grand, it's a bit of money, you know what I mean? So I've got 3 other agents with me, 4 of us. I said, I'll pay 500, you pay 500, and everything. We'll go and see and get trained by James Gosselin on how to do callbacks. I'll never forget it. We sit down there, we walk into his office, there's 2 desks, one for his assistant with a computer, and then his desk, nothing on it except print out like this with lists of names on there. Okay? First thing he says to me, "Hi Manos, how are you? I just want to reinforce this is not a training session. You are just going to watch me do calls." Okay, and I'm thinking $2 grand. Good investment. And then I started thinking, because my numbers started thinking, how many days does he do this? He does prospecting on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and he has 3 of these coaching sessions each day. So $6 grand on a Tuesday and $6 grand on a Thursday. So the guy's getting 12 grand just to make him accountable to do his phone calls. How good is that? But anyway, best $2 grand I've ever spent in my life. Okay, 500. Okay. But seriously, what I learned on that day goes, no, I don't want to speak to people. I just want to leave them a message. Send them a card, and that's enough, because they don't want to speak to me. I'm a real estate agent. You really think that everyone's going to look at you, that first of all, they've got your name and phone number in there and all that, and your photo, right? And then you ring them and think, oh, I'm a real estate agent. Pick it up straight away. They go, oh, most people cringe. What do they want? I'm not selling. You know what I mean? But I'm talking a bit of an extreme. Those people that want to speak with you will reach out, but they'll appreciate the phone call, the voicemail to say, "Ben, congratulations, 2 years. I hope you're loving the property as much as you did. How are the kids? Regards to the missus." And that's the type of relationship and the type of phone call. They're going to listen to it, and especially if you send them a happy anniversary card thereafter. Because after every phone call, and I want you to think like this. I want you to think like this. Who's been cold called? Yeah? So put your hand up. Who's been cold called? Fantastic. Or whatever it is, whether it's real estate, whether it's everything. Have you ever received anything in the mail after the cold call? No. Can you remember who cold called you? No. Okay, it's the same. So I want you to think if the psychology again of real estate. So you're not thinking about selling. You're not thinking about selling. And you will from doing estate agents, cold call, high, call in the street, we've done an appraisal, blah, 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 blah. So no thank you, that's all good. Right? Polite. Phone call, I hang up the phone. What are the chances I'm going to remember Will's name, where he's from, and 2 or 3 days later, that's, who was that real estate agent that called me? Or if I remember it all, what are the chances I'm going to remember it? None. Next to none. It's as good as none. Right? I'm sure you forget it. No. But you know what I'm saying, right? Follow up with thank you card. Thank you for taking my call. If I can be of any help with your real estate needs, please call me. Okay. One of the things that we win and lose listings on, we lose listings because the other agent just was there. We win listings just because the agent was there, the door knocks, okay? So what we want to do is make it easy for people to contact us. This person bothered to cold call me, right? This person sent me a just enough to say card or an anniversary card. There's a higher value to that. So it is those little things, right? And if we make a disciplined effort, I'd rather see you do 5 of those than 50 cold calls. Because I reckon by the time you do 50 compared to doing 500 calls, you'll probably have a listing. Do you know what I mean? You've built a tighter relationship. So less is always more. Please don't.
I'm just wondering, if you haven't been doing anniversary calls, can you just start doing it?
Donna, I'll share this story. So my brother George, who does the vault training, right? So one thing about George, he's coachable, guys. He's coachable. He was doing anniversary cards. And I think in the 6th year or the 7th year, a guy rings him up and says, "George, it's time for us to sell." And it's great. So George goes there and to do the appraisal and all that, and goes, "Look, when you sold us the house," and he goes, "Oh, I've never sold you the house." "Yeah, but you've been sending me the anniversary card." Because I thought you were the agent that we bought the house off. People, guys, I bought property. I don't remember who the agent was, this is before real estate, who the agent was. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember. Who does? Before you're a real estate agent. I'm not talking about now you're a real estate agent, you've got to remember. But most people, and why? Why does that happen? Why do most people not remember who they bought their They never hear from them because more than likely 80% leave the industry, change areas, move into states, blah, 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 right? So, here's another exercise you can do, right? Who goes into realestate.com, and I've asked people to do this exercise, and they've listed, there's 10 listings that have come on, and to find out, have those listings, those sellers use the agent that they bought off? 83% do not. 83% do not. Now, I did the exercise in Hastings, and all you have to do is once. All I want you to do is just do it once, and it'll probably be true for the rest of the year. Do you know what I mean? Because people aren't keeping relationships. So, what does that tell you to do in regards to a prospecting strategy? And there should be some light bulb moments here. So if you know that someone has bought a house in your area, in your immediate service area, they're probably going to sell within 2 years, 10% will sell within 2 years, 20% will sell within 4 years, and then 50% will sell within 5 years, right? That's the statistic. Who's been in real estate for more than 5 years? Okay, so after this you'll wish you would have done this strategy, right? Because 5 years goes quickly. Who's going to be in real estate for more than 5 years? There's no excuse that you shouldn't do the strategy then. If you're going to quit next week, no point. Right? So if you're going to quit next year, there's no point doing this strategy, right? So if you look at the buyer who bought in your area, offer a position, never met them or anything like that, introduce them to the neighbourhood, just send them some paraphernalia and start the process of the anniversary card. So next year you'll say, congratulations, 1 year anniversary, I hope you like Udrum as much as you did when you first bought it. I hope it's meeting your expectations and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Right? The more these little contacts you do, Jason does 60 sales a year with 1,100 contacts. There is absolutely no excuse that we can't have 1,000 contacts in doing these activities in a 12-month period, and then your career is set for life, and you just nurture that database. But does that make sense? So when a buyer buys a house, you should do an introductory pack to it, and then start building a relationship with that buyer. That's it. Okay. So what's the other thing that it tells you when you look at that stat is how many people don't have great service after settlement. So please call your sellers, and please, especially your sellers that have bought off the please, please, please.
But even the sold to
settlement period is critical. Absolutely critical, but after settlement, most people settle on a Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're going to have their weekend. Ring them on I won't ring it on a Monday, but definitely on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And it's a simple phone call and say, John, how was your first weekend in your new home that you bought off LJ Book for Sundays? Right? And what's John going to turn around and say in most instances? Key, so the key's not working, the front door, they left the place in the mess, blah, 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 blah. I didn't get a settlement gift, whatever. Now, you're not going to get that from everyone, but there'll be the agent may be going to pick up the key from the agency. Can you believe it? They didn't even deliver it. Or they can tell they had a great experience. Right? And you're hoping they do, but statistics tell me they don't. Because most agents will not call their buyers. Why? They don't want to know about it. They don't want to hear the conversation. They left it in the mess. The back shed door's not working. And blah, blah, blah. Well, what a great opportunity to build a relationship so you're not part of the 83%, but the 70% that they call you back in. We spend all this money on advertising. We spend all this money on marketing, and yet we don't focus on the people who are going to come back to us and or refer us more business. Those people that understand the psychology and learn the rules of the game, play the game better than anyone else. Okay.
Does anyone have a sold to settle strategy? that they want to share? You've got one, does anyone else have one?
Have a budget. Also have a budget for things that go wrong. I've replaced in the last 3 months, I think I've replaced 2 garage door openings, installed a garage door opener, a dishwasher, taking multiple things out of property. So have a budget for that. Things that burnt out that I didn't have to replace, but I chose to replace it. And I know I think it'd be raving fans of clients, but definitely the thing that we do miss out on is the solar settled houses. It's the biggest way you get referrals is staying in contact with people through that. Because what happens with most people sign a contract, the agent disappears. And they think we're just collecting a check. So it is really important that you stay in touch with people. How do they feel about the purchase? A week after they've bought it, and it's unconditional. How do you feel about it? Excited? You're looking forward to that date? Just little things like that are really helpful. Final inspections, because I'm sure the final inspections are here. Get on the front foot. Get on the front foot and book them in. Be there. If you can't be there, I don't do my own final inspections, but I get the team to report back. And if there's anything wrong, we fix it. We get the vendors to fix it. If not, we offer to help them fix it. Because I don't want that drama on handover. Yeah. We meet them at the property. We arrange to meet them at the property and hand the keys and a gift to them in person. That's where you ask for referrals. Have we? You've got to be careful about it, you know. But have we earned the right for you to tell us about friends or anything like that? And just have a great experience, and then call them 2 or 3 days afterwards. How'd it go? How the first go? How are you feeling about it? Are you excited about it? Call them a month later. We send them, I think we're still doing it, we send them a book now that we use for the area.
That's great. That's a great one to send to buyers that have moved into the area that you've never met. Notice you've moved into the area. Welcome. Your future real estate agent. JC, one of the slides I had up there, what's the main reason we're moving things? I mean, besides those things.
The main reason usually is you might want to make them feel hopeful or might want to make them feel great. That's what I find. You didn't have a compelling argument. That's probably the biggest thing. You didn't impress them enough. I lost one yesterday because of a tree. The agent had got in there in April and had organised to remove a tree that was dead on property. He'd organised to remove all that, so he formed a great relationship with them through service. Yeah. So acts of service in between, frequency of contact are really going to help. So you might not listen on them for 6 months, but offer to help them through the process. One I spoke to this morning, we're going to organise painters for them, organise stylists, all that sort of stuff. They'll feel a sense of indebtedness to themselves and reciprocity to give back. So that's probably.
But JC, I've had agents who have done that and they said to me, Manos, there's no loyalty. I did that for them and they went and listed with another agent. How do you cope with that?
That's it. No, and that's it. And you have to rationalise it that way. I've missed out on business. I've had neighbours that have listed with people like, what? Yeah. And because I was too busy. Like, we never see you too busy. Okay. So they saw me everywhere, but didn't see back at my house. It's like listen to different reasons, but you can't hang on to it. You have to learn to let it go and move on to the next thing and not kick the cat for 3 months. And figure it out. Get frustrated. Ask people like that. I've chased up someone that I missed out on recently, and they were going to know they're not going to bring all sorts of stuff. And I've been chasing them just to ask them an honest question. Not to make them feel uncomfortable, but just to say, can I ask? Why did you choose that other agent? I want honest. Be honest. I think we've got a great relationship. I've earned that right for you to be really honest with me. Then I know they will, and I'll take them on the chin and go, no, right, that won't happen again. Let's do that. Right? But I can tell you the frequency of contact is where it right, that's all right.
Um,
I'm not touching on
Sorry, Derek, I lost one just recently. Holly and I drank cups of tea with this lady who was.
Don't even get me started.
we were having
I just love what you guys are saying. I've had the same conversation, like.
her husband had passed away and he had a massive collection of hats and antiques and shoes and like some massive order. And we were assisting her to catalogue just the time and the hours and the emotion that that goes into connecting with these vendors. And then I rang her up, you know, on my weekly call like I do every week. And I said, oh, how's everything going? Joe, we were waiting for her not to be ready, but because her husband was, like, there was a uncertainty with the, yeah. So we were being, you know, cautious of that and supportive and not trying to push her. And she said, oh, how's everything going? She said, oh, it's great. I saw my financial advisor last week. He recommended a great real estate agent and I signed a Saturday contract with him.
Oh, yes.
And that's just one